Hey, what is up, everyone? It's Rich. All right, welcome to the video. This is going to be awesome. Today, we're going to look at DV8, penciled by Humberto Ramos, inks by Sal Regla, script by Warren Ellis, which, to be honest, I had completely forgot who wrote the book. Anyway, so Humberto Ramos, man, he was huge at DC Comics. He had been working on Impulse and really had a lot of heat behind him. And there may have been other titles that he did. I think he did a Flash annual, maybe. I remember him on Impulse. He was like the Impulse guy. He had a very kind of Carlos Meglia kind of vibe. A lot of people in the United States at that point didn't really know who Meglia was. I had been lucky enough to be exposed to him by Tom Ranney, who we talked about a little bit in the Super Fun Sunday. Speaking of Super Fun Sunday, man, if you have not watched that colored guide, Super Fun Sunday, I would highly recommend it. It's incredible, and the art that Wendy Fouts, Broom, and Joe Chido did on that stuff is just incredible. I think they were the only two color guide artists on that, but again, Joe did work with Martin Jimenez, so you know, although they're probably credited to Joe Chido, Joe did have an assistant during a period of time at Wildstorm, and they would kind of go back and forth with things. Anyway, if you haven't seen it, really, honestly, I would highly recommend you checking it out. And I'm ready to do a part 2 already, to be honest. It was really fun and something that I just enjoy looking at. So anyway, but I had pulled this book actually about a week ago, and I think I had even maybe started a video, and just for whatever reason, it didn't feel right or something was off. But I was feeling like I was missing YouTube, and the last 2 days I was kind of like there was like a void, and then I realized it was that I just really wasn't interacting here. So anyway, so yeah, we're gonna look at all the variant covers. We're gonna look at the first issue all the way through. And it's really nice art, and I've got, some fun stories I can tell along the way. And anyway, so right now what we're looking at is we're looking at the Michael Lopez and Edwin Rosell variant cover that they did. This is 1996. So I've talked about Michael Lopez as being like a pretty big influence on me, and someone who, when I got to Wildstorm, I don't think I knew Mike's stuff because he didn't really have anything out other than maybe a few pinups. But he was working on the Voodoo Zealot skin trade, and I had literally never seen drawings in person that were as incredible as what he did. I mean, he was like an illustrator drawing comics. The one thing with Mike's stuff that I've always found is, for whatever reason, once it's colored digitally and you see it in the comic book, it does seem to lose a little bit of the impact that his stuff, not only in black and white, but kind of seeing it in person, gives. His attention to detail and the quality of how he drew stuff was outstanding. He did a Penthouse comic story that's really incredible. But even the Voodoo Zealot skin trade, I don't really think that it captured how good that book was. But Mike came back to Wildstorm, worked on the DC MMO video game with Carl Stianda and Ali Garza and JJ Kirby and Livio, and as far as I know, I think the last I heard was Mike was doing actual art for slot machines. But I mean, I can't imagine that you do that like full time. Like, they need that much art for slot machines. So I really don't know what ended up happening with Mike. But he doesn't really do online. And anyway, but okay, all right, let's get into the book. But Michael Lopez was one of my early favorites. Look at this, Glenn Fabry. So each one of these covers, I think, represents, so this one's Gluttony. The one before was Envy. Obviously, I'm assuming Seven, the movie, probably had been out at this point. I don't remember, 96, 95? What year did that movie come out? I saw that movie with Aaron Weisenfeld, funny enough. I remember walking out of Seven and feeling like a train had hit me. That movie was heavy. But, yeah, that's right. So, yeah, this would have been right around that time. I probably saw the movie in 95. This is nice, though. Really cool. Glenn Fabry's great. All right, what do we got? Oh, we looked at this. We saw the color guide of this in the color guide, Super Fun Sunday. Really nice. Beautiful inks by Alex Garner on this. I mean, Campbell and Garner at this point were on fire. And we can look and see if you remember the color guide video. Remember the little splash of blue here? The tea light? They brought in a little more. I think he had a little bit of blue here. He had a little bit of blue over here, and then there was a little smudge of it there. So it's fun to see how this was actually translated into a color guide. All right, let's continue, friends. Oh, Sexy Times, Kevin Nolan. What's this one? Does it say up here what this is? This is Lust. I can't read it. Yeah, Lust. I see it in there. It's hidden. Very, very scary. The designer had fun on this one. I wonder who the designer was for the covers. I'll have to look when we get inside. Kevin Nolan's awesome. You know, I is someone who came up through Image Comics. I mean, stuff like this at 1996 wouldn't have necessarily been my jam, but I'm a huge Kevin Nolan fan, and over the next like year or two, I began to appreciate how badass he is more and more. Oh, Adam Hughes, this is a great piece. The HR is Homer Reyes colored this. Homer was one of the really, really coveted what would you call it, like color separators, I believe. This is interesting. So this says DS Dave Stevens. Is it a nod to Dave Stevens' piece maybe? Like this maybe says after Dave Stevens, or this is part of the art? I don't know. It's kind of weird. I mean, Adam Hughes did the piece, so I don't know what that is. That's interesting. Some may know. So this is Pride. All right, let's go. What do we got? Oh my God, I can't remember this character's name. I'm not 100% sure I actually read DV8, to be honest. I was very, very busy this time. So this is Jim Lee, just Jim Lee by himself, which is good stuff. Jim Lee and Scott Williams is incredible, but Jim on his own is quite badass too. This doesn't look like Jim's inks though. This looks like Garner. Or, I don't know. Oh, JD, I see. Sorry, I thought his name was underlined. So this is JD Inks. JD was an interesting inker. I don't know if I could pick JD's inks out sometimes, but he was great. He inked Aaron Weisenfeld. He inked Travis for a while. Obviously, he would ink Jim when Scott couldn't do it. But, yeah, JD was great. He was a very, very cool guy, too. I liked him a lot. And he got into concept art and was working with Justin Sweet, who, if you're into, concept artists and stuff like that, Justin Sweet is really, really good. When JD was working with him, he was very, very like at the top of his popularity and hype and stuff. So this is Wrath. Honestly, just based on this right here, I have no idea who this cover is. Let's see if we can see a signature. I don't know what that signature is. What does Jim Lee say? This is in Inside Image, they interviewed Jim and they asked him at the end. It was like one of those things where like, what's your favorite foods? What's your favorite ice cream? What's your favorite comic? Stuff like that. And the final question was, what advice would you give artists, young artists coming up? And Jim said, always sign your name clearly. Stuff like this is cool. But even now we see today, like, I'm not 100% sure a signature like this is iconic enough. And again, if you're a fan of this artist, you're like, come on, you dumbass, you don't know who this is. But you know, it does benefit you to actually have a signature that's legible. And if not, I mean, I would recommend maybe like a very calm watermark with your URL or something on it. But yeah, I don't know. I really can't recognize who this art is. I'm trying to figure it out. We'll see when we get inside. This will be interesting. But yeah, I really don't know who that is. I don't remember the piece, to be honest, either. Oh, okay, so let's see. We're going to get into this. So this is page 1 of the book. Humberto at this point actually really did use some pretty heavy blacks in his stuff. So, you know, Campbell versus Humberto. Humberto definitely had a bit of a more noir vibe to his stuff. It was pretty heavy duty. And again, this is Sal Regula inks on this book. Sal is really good. Sal's got quite a distinct way that he inks. I would say that Sal and Trevor Scott had more in common than maybe Sal would with like a Scott Williams style. But Sal was absolutely incredible. And this is Wendy Fout's colors and Mike Heisler letters. So we've talked about Mike Heisler in a few videos. Talked about Wendy Fout's in the coloring video. if Wendy was coloring this book on her own, I see now this is where it gets confusing to me. Like I don't know if she used no color guides and then went straight to this. It's Wendy is online. She would actually be kind of fun to interview too. I've kind of got this mental checklist of people that I'd like to talk to, but Wendy would be great, and she's so nice. But it would be really interesting to get her experiences at Wildstorm and any fun stories she has. The interesting thing about Wildstorm, and in particular when I think of Wildstorm and the coloring, was the excitement that they had to color work. You know, you would catch wind that J. Scott Campbell was finishing some badass page, or Travis just sent in 2 pages of Wildcats, and they would kind of like be queued up to like, hey, it's my turn to color this one, color separate, and stuff like that. So it was really exciting, and I think, you know, again, there was that friendly competition that really brings great things out of you. You know, when your peers are all doing great work, you want to be in that mix. You want to be you want to be you know, not competitive with them, but you know, you want to share that fun and the level of accomplishment. So I think it was really healthy. I never felt any weird vibes at Wildstorm in terms of like a negative competition. Sometimes you would maybe get a sense of like, I wish, you know, I could get some of the opportunities that this other person's getting. But you know, look, the bottom line is fans are going to decide who they're really excited about, and it can be a combination of things. And you know, why is one band way more popular than another band that maybe has, you know, quote unquote better musicianship or whatever it is? It's like, you know, this is a pop culture medium. So, and Humberto is turning the camera great. I mean, again, so the Carlos Meglia book that I was referring to that Tom Ranning had at Wildstorm was, he had black and white photocopies of Cyber 6. So when I saw the Cyber 6 stuff, I really started to kind of see where I think Humberto wasn't getting like all his ideas. That would be a gross exaggeration, but you could get a little sense of that he probably liked Meglia stuff. So really cool stuff. If you can track down any of the Cyber 6, they're like hardcover books. I have the first 2. I actually think that there are 6. But yeah, I have book 1 and 2 actually on my shelf here in my office right now. That's an elite place to be because I only keep a very small part of my collection in my office. So this is cool. His characters are so wild looking. And look, the thing is, you know, we're looking at this stuff now in 2021, but Humberto was actually very influential at this time. There was a lot of people trying to draw like Humberto. So he not only was successful, but he was actually very influential for quite a few years. This is a great piece. We saw the color guide of this. And remember, we were remarking with the hair, like we couldn't even tell if it was painted. Okay, so that's interesting. So here's the deal. Wendy Fouts did actually do color guides to this book. We know that based on the color guide that we saw on Sunday. So now the question is were these separations done by Wendy? Because that might not be the case. Wendy may have done color guides for the whole book, and she may have colored a lot of the pages digitally. But we don't know that for a fact, just based on our fan observation, we'll call it. Because Wildstorm had a pretty big group of color separators that would work, you know, on... There was 2 different spots at that time where they would work in the office. There was 2 rooms sort of dedicated to the coloring department. And, you know, they'd get 6 to 12 people all coloring in a room. Dark room with computers and lots of waiting. Farbin mentioned that. It was funny as I had kind of not forgotten it, but I hadn't thought about it in a long time. But it was funny as, like, you know, if you would do like a blur filter or you needed to do some sort of complicated move on a computer in like 1995, it was really slow, and they would sometimes just have to walk away for a long time as the stuff processed. And you know, the big thing is the file actually gonna crash? You know, it's like, is this blur that I put here gonna you know, try to save it or think about it and then not work? And if you've ever worked in Photoshop or something like that, some of the tools are a little laggy. You know, you'll have a brush where you throw a line and it doesn't have the speed that you put it down. Sometimes the clone tool, clone stamp can do that, and yeah, even there's quite a few tools that can get laggy. Depends on how you have your things set up, but you can max out your RAM. These are nice faces. It's cool. So yeah, DV8, and when then he went from this to Crimson, and we'll do Crimson too because I want to check this out. So this is a very funny page, and I'm going to explain to you why this is a funny page to me. So I've been at Wildstorm at this point for a little over a year, and like I said, I've been really fighting it out in the trenches. And one thing that I'm always very passionate about is if I take a job, I finish it. There's been one or two occasions where I've not felt like I was the right person for the job and quit, but not quit like where you leave them in a lurch, but you know what I mean? You just go like, this isn't really for me. I you know, I'll finish this issue, but I want to go kind of thing. And then we had a family emergency one time. I had to bail off of a book for a few months, but Sal Regla sent in this page unfinished, and I thought that was the weirdest thing that I had ever seen a professional do, where it's like, so you just turned in pages, because he wasn't in San Diego, I don't think, at the time, so he FedExed a box of pages in, but this page came in and it wasn't done, and then they came into the pit, and they're like, hey, we need someone to finish this page, and I was like, who sends in a page unfinished? It was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen. It's like, must be nice to be able to just like do, I guess, what you wanted to do. I don't, you know, I mean, this is a pretty big book, but yeah, it was that was a very weird memory of that time. But I don't know what the circumstances were. So maybe there was a logical reason, but funny memory of an odd page, right? This is cool. And so, like, Humberto, one thing that Humberto does a lot of is he will draw very small. I do think that in some ways is either just a coincidence, but Megli is the same way. You'll get a lot of characters that are all the same size, even though these are different shots, but you know what I mean? Like, a lot of this is taking up the same amount of real estate. And Humberto can just draw small, you know. Hey, Wildcats. Whoa, sorry. That's cool. It would have actually been fun to see him do like Fire from Heaven or one of those crossover books. Actually, I could get down with this. I actually like his Mother One right here. It's nice. It's always interesting to see anyone draw Wildcats. His death blow is funny. He looks like he's like 14. And this is Bliss, right? I'm pretty sure. Voodoo in her Wildcats 25 garb. Does DC and Marvel, do they have characters that smoke anymore? Is that a thing? I don't know. it's like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that would be considered like offensive. Let me see. I want to see something really quick. Do they list the variant covers? So this is color coordinators. Oh, so this is Wildstorm Effects. So Wildstorm Effects will be the coloring department. Cover by Humberto Ramos. They don't list the variant covers. That's a little disappointing. So inks is Sal Regla with Troy Hubbs. So Sal didn't even finish the book. So Troy came in and helped finish it. You know, who knows? I'm nearly sure that page was sent in by Sal. It looked like Sal's inks. I remember kind of what it looked like. Okay, so we can shut this. I just wanted to see if they had the variant cover credit in here. They may on another page. Whoa. Strip club action. People that look like they're 13. This is nice. All right, let's keep going. Man, this is dark. Darkness. You know, I'm almost on some of these pages. I'm getting a little bit of like a Jason Pearson Body Bags vibe. Just a little bit. Some of some of the shapes and stuff like that are giving me a little bit of that vibe. I've done some Jason Pearson videos, so if you're a fan of Jason Pearson, you could search my channel, or they might possibly be on Patreon, but I've definitely done body bags at least once or twice. Jason's great. This is nice. Very memorable shot. This in particular, it really kind of stands out to me. I don't know if you hear crumbling sound. My cat is going nuts in the hallway playing with some paper. This is cool. Nice shot. Man, this is good. Wood grain on the door. Always impressive. Oh, and this. The background effect that was so popular for so long. This is nice. I had to draw a lot of cars in the issue that I just drew, so I'm appreciative of car comic art now. Oh, it went out of order. Darn it. All right, sorry, that was my mistake. Let's oh, this is nice. I love this kind of stuff with this blurry sort of. I mean, it's not really blurred, but just the line, how it's swiggly with the feathering, looks nice. Oh, this is great too, man. It's a lot of characters in that panel, you know. Again, the team book thing where, you know, generally speaking, you'll have one or two characters doing stuff and then a lot of people standing around in the background. It's just it's a comic thing that I find it can kind of wear you down a little bit. Especially if you've got like they're in the lab room and, you know, this guy is talking to this guy and she's upset about something, but you're still having to put like all these characters just sort of hanging out in the scene because they're a team and they should be together. It's kind of funky. This is really good, man. Yeah, Humberto's really, really good. Really nice shapes, really good attention to detail, really good rendering, and, you know, I had some people ask me about a comment that I had made, which was I think that if you're learning to draw, it's a good idea to focus on pencils. And it's just one of those things, you know, when Humberto can 100% focus on drawing a page like this, it's just going to benefit the art. Now, if Humberto had to pencil and ink this, you know, you're either penciling less and you're going to try to pick up the loose ends in the inks, which is possible to do, but it's more challenging. But, you know, when you're only penciling something, you're really able to give it like all of your focus, and then, you know, you've got a good inker that comes in and not only is going to capture what you put down, but might actually push the art a little bit forward. So the collaborative process in comics is actually a good thing, you know. There's a benefit to it. It's a second set of eyes, trained eyes, that are able to add something to your work. I mean, with Blaster Kid as an example, I'm gonna do full pencils. So when I draw pages, I'm actually gonna do it like I would be giving it to someone else, and I'm gonna scan those just so I have a copy of the pencils if I ever want to do a pencils only book. And then I'm going to ink it, but it'll give me an opportunity to kind of see it with two different sets of eyes. But on Crystal Planet right now, because of just, you know, trying to be effective, I pencil as much as I think I need down, and then I finish it. I draw it in ink. It's tricky, but I'm getting better and better at it, actually. But, you know, it took me like 15 to 20 pages to work it out, which isn't terrible. But the first issue, I was more doing kind of more full pencils. And the second issue, I was like, I can't spend days and days on a page. It was just too much. Crowdfunded books is a totally different thing. The people are paying more money for it. But this is nice. Really good colors, too. Oh, so his name is Frostbite. Is that right? I'm seeing the bite on his thing. Like I said, I never really read this book. Oh, yeah, this is cool. Yep, really, really nice. So the distinction that I say for Sal's inks is Sal's got a very, like, rounded line. So you'll see a lot of stuff that looks a bit more like this. And then he goes in and he'll get real tight, like waggles on stuff. You can kind of see him in here. And even he'll do stuff like where maybe something along the lines of this. You know, there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of have those types of lines fade, and you could even do like a double. So anyway, but yeah, that's kind of a distinct thing, and Sal would do the blip blop a lot. So you'll see a lot of stuff, kind of like doing like this. But like I said, that's a little bit of a Trevor Scott thing too, where Scott Williams ultimately kind of moved away from this. There were periods where Scott did this. It was kind of like mid '90s. Mid-90s, Jim and Scott got a little more Garner-esque for a while. And Garner was real good at this style, too. Garner had a little different vibe than Sal and Trevor, though. It was a little more controlled and a little less... kind of... Garner's stuff, to me, was unique to him, I feel. He's so good. This is nice. This was an exciting period, too, so another artist that you might have heard of was bubbling up and doing some stuff for DC at this time. A little guy named Olivier Coipel on Legion Lost, and then a really long run on Legion. He did good. He did good work. I'm really surprised that they didn't list who the variant covers were in the book. I'm hoping that there's another page of credits where they actually break it down. It's a pretty big oversight, in my opinion. I don't like stuff like that. I mean, if it's an accident, it's an accident. Shit happens. I got the honor of doing a Wizard cover with Travis for Wildcats. And they had 3 variant covers. So it was Travis and I, someone, and I think Danny Mickey and someone else. They were able to credit everyone on all 3 of their covers except me on the Travis one. And it was clearly signed by both of us. And and you just have to like let shit like that go. Let it go. Let it go. Luckily the signature, you could see it on the cover, so it would have bummed me out more, because sometimes they'll literally, like, if you like had signed something here, they'll put shit over it. You know, like the UPC code or whatever. It's a nice signature. I like that. Fabiola or something. I don't know what that name would be. It's fancy, though. All right. No, they did not credit the covers. I'm disappointed. Someone will tell me in the comments section that I'm an idiot and who that cover was by, but I didn't recognize it. It looked like a CS or maybe a CL, something. I was almost getting the vibe that it was like a European artist. But I don't know. Okay, and this isn't really the last page of the story. Went a little bit over. This is nice too. Yeah, I'm getting a little tiny bit of Pearson vibes on this. Which, hey, look, Jason Pearson is great, so why not? Yep, we got beautiful Humberto Ramos art. DV8, Warren Ellis. I'm sure it's probably a pretty good script. Killer inks by Sal Regla and Troy Hubbs. And a nice looking comic. Wendy Broom Fouts, Mike Heisler on letters. All right, you guys have a great day. It feels good to be back. This actually went longer than I wanted. This ended up going about 30 minutes. I wanted it to be 20. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. I don't think I'm going to do a super fun Sunday this weekend because I have to work, and then I've also got some stuff that I actually have to do. So, all right, but I will try to squeeze in a video sometime in the next day or 3. Okay, and you can always check me out on Patreon. I'm uploading daily stuff right now. Hand videos. People are learning how to draw hands better. Very important. Lots of hands in comics, I will assure you of that. So, all right, have a great day. I'll link to Patreon below. $1 will give you full access to, somewhere between 700 and 800 videos, maybe more. I've lost count. But anyway, it's fun. All right, talk to you later. Bye.